This week's video, we're having a little kayak adventure. So the good thing on this kayaking adventure is I brought some of my camera mounts with me, so we can show you what we're doing much better. Yeah, in our last kayaking video, I did not have my camera mounts. It's still a little bit tricky. I don't have the best mounts for the kayak, actually. So we unloaded our kayaks at the boat ramp and paddled across the lake, up the creek as far as we could go. And we're pretty far along, and we came across a log jam and we got through that. Wasn't too bad, but now there's a tree right across, and there's just looks like it could be a lot more, and we have a lot of paddling to go back. So for here, we're starting this video on the creek, and we're floating back and just enjoying nature. And maybe do some fishing on the way, just enjoy the peace. We got a little bit of a jam coming up. I'm gonna have to put down the camera and paddle through that thing again. Well, it's a little tight here. Kind of hard to film. The only place to get through is right there. I didn't get to film that like I wanted. But yeah, it's been an enjoyable paddle so far. On the way in here, we passed by a bald eagle. He swooped toward the water, but didn't catch anything. He didn't swoop all the way down. Now, they call this a creek around here, but I don't know. It's more like a river. It's not just huge, but I mean, it's 50 feet wide, 50, 60 feet wide in most places that we've seen so far. The way these trees lean over the creek, it's like, I don't know, like a tunnel or a big cathedral or something. It's just really cool. Yeah, right now we're heading back and we're just floating on the current here. Oh, it's turning me. Oh boy. So we've seen fish jumping on our way in here and there. So we know there's fish in here. What they are, I have no idea. People claim to catch carp back in here. I'm not sure how many people actually come this far back in. I don't think it's very many. Looks like we're in the middle of nowhere. I hear a lawnmower off in the distance somewhere though. So yeah, civilization's not that far away. So I thought maybe this was a bird's nest on this down tree in the creek, but it's not. Just some debris is what it looks like. And these overhanging branches, they look nice, they're beautiful and everything, part of the scenery, but ticks. I've had ticks fall on my boat, and that's just weird. I look and there's a tick running toward me, take my paddle and flip him off into the water. So yeah, I guess it's something to watch out for. Even on the kayak, you could get a tick if you're near the low hanging tree. So most people know about cattail as a survival food, but there is a wild iris. So I'm not sure if that's a wild iris or not actually, but it looks a lot like cattail, but I know it's not cattail because of the way it's growing. So a lot of people know about cattail as a survival food, and it's easy to confuse the wild iris with cattail. The cattail is edible, the wild iris is not. The wild iris is poisonous. As far as cattail as a survival food, I wouldn't have really any interest in that if there was anything else available. Cattail kind of filters things. So if there's anything that you wouldn't want in your system, in the environment, it's bound to be in the cattail. So this creek spreads out into like a huge swamp here before you get into the lake. And the lake's pretty shallow. It's like a 10-horse limit. And even then, I rarely see people with a motor on their boat. It's usually like kayakers, canoers, rowboats, stuff like that. There are some people that come out, obviously, with motors on their boats. I'm not saying they don't. It's just I see more of the kayakers and stuff than anything else. So we paddled way up from the lake, and anyway, you got to have a GPS. I mean, it's fun to just explore, but if just following the creek, here's another place. The creek is behind me over here, and there's a big swamp over there. And it almost looks like another lake, and it's really cool. There's places like that all along here, but if you don't know where you're going, you know, you probably could get turned around in here pretty easy. But yeah, it's really neat to explore. We're having a great time. I just came through those down trees. Now he gets to. It's not hard. You just need the momentum to keep plowing over top of them. Yeah, so it took a couple hours of paddling just to get up in here. And we seem to be going back so much faster. Of course, we were paddling against the current, so that can be expected. I'd like to sometime start all the way up where we wanted to originally. That would be a lot of fun. It's a lot longer of a trip to do that, but there's just too much debris on this creek to guarantee that we can get through. I don't know if you can see those rocks back there. There's like sheer walls of rock. And back there a little further, some dogs. I guess there's a private property along here too. We must be near the border. Some dogs are back in the woods barking at us. Just floating by a little cove here. There's a little break in the shoreline and another swamp back in there. See a lot of lilies and things. There's all these little bays and swamps and whatever off of this creek. Yeah, these kayaks have opened up a lot of opportunities for us in the sense that we can get out into places that were not as accessible. We were able to get into some places that even with a boat with a motor on it, you wouldn't go. You got such a low draft in these boats, you can really get into some pretty shallow places. Of course, this is pretty deep. So even in the swamp here, we're able to paddle into the swamp a lot further than what you would with a regular boat as well. It's pretty cool. I like the kayak pretty well. Oh, it is like baking hot sitting in this kayak. I like the kayak, but when it's hot, it's a little more, there's no roof on it. You're just baking in the sun. We're supposed to be in the 80s today. It's really strange. We were in the 50s when we left in the morning, and we're supposed to hit the 80s sometime in the afternoon. We're probably about there now. We're pushing 1 o'clock. So yeah, it's probably getting up there. I mean, it feels like it. Got quite a few deer tracks right in here in the mud coming right down to the water. Must be the place where all the deer come to drink. There's quite a few all along here. Well, I think I'll mark this location on my GPS for deer hunting season. I'm pretty sure I could walk back in here in the fall when it's cold. It'd be a little bit of a hike, but I'm pretty sure. But there is a lot of deer activity that I'm seeing back here. There's another branch going that way. Oh, I'm gonna have to look at the GPS how we got in here. All right, looks like there's 3 ways to go here. That just goes around that island. There's where the creek goes to, but then there's another branch out there. It goes to another portion of the swamp. We were just floating along, and all of a sudden there's an eagle, and I'm like, oh wow, bald eagle. So I quickly grabbed the camera and tried to get a video of it flying away, and before you even know it, it's gone. It's great that we got to see it, but it would have been really great if I would have got that on video. You go around the island there?
Yeah.
It's all floodplain back in here. This thing really floods quite a bit, and they put a dam at the other end to make a little lake, and it's not very deep, but basically they control the flooding because this creek, there's a couple creeks that come together here. I'm not sure how many total, but yeah, there's a lot of flooding in this area. Oh, I'd love to own a place like this. I bet everybody would. I guess we kind of do. This is public land, so yeah, at least in the state of Ohio, all public land is public use, public access. It's intended for hunting though, so if you venture in, just be aware of that and be safe. Yeah, it's too bad we missed that eagle. That happened to us once before. We were on a river and we weren't actually videoing, you know, we were just there, and the only thing we had was our phones. And well, we're paddling down the river on the canoe, and there's these family of ducks out ahead of us, and there's the mama duck and several baby ducks, and this eagle comes out in front of us, right in front of us, swoops down, grabs one of the baby ducks toward the end of the line of ducks, and right in front of us, just whoop, swooped that little duck up and back up into the sky. It was interesting to see. Too bad for the duck though. Well, I'm starting to turn red. I can tell I'm getting sunburned, and I don't have any sunscreen with me. Yeah, sunscreen, that's not one of those things that I like to forget either, because I seem to burn easy, so I can just hear it. My wife's gonna comment, oh, he's as red as a lobster. It probably doesn't show up now. It's probably not that bad. I can tell that it's happening. It's probably not that bad yet, but yeah, it's not good. I think the water reflects it more, reflects the sun more, and yeah, I seem to burn worse when I'm on the water. Passing yet another like tributary thing. That there's more lake over there. But then there's this skinny creek that just continues along. There's all these like branches off of it as you go. It's actually maybe 6-8 inches deep, and you can see the bottom, all these weeds coming up. Yeah, just right here in the middle is where the deep water is, and even then it's not very deep, about 3 or 4 feet. Over in the main part of the lake, it's maybe 2 feet deep. Some places it's only a foot deep. So it really is just a big floodplain for all these creeks that come in here. There's a squirrel right about in there. He's fishing over here, and this squirrel comes down the tree at him. I wouldn't get any closer if it comes at you like that. There's something wrong with him. Yeah, so they call this a lake. I don't know if it really is a lake, in my opinion. Basically, the creek, all these creeks run in here and form a bigger, wider creek, and it just flattens out. In the main part of the lake here, it's only like 2 feet deep, and that's not very deep. Now over at the dam, it's supposed to be more like 20 feet. But right in here, it's just, 2 feet, and in some places it's only a foot deep. I stick my paddle in. There's bottom. Maybe that's 1.5 feet. And it's like that all the way across. It's a fun place to go and explore because of the swamp and because of all the streams and all the things coming into it. So you can really paddle around and have a lot of fun exploring. So that's primarily why we come here, is for that part of it. There's some kind of bird way up on that electric pole. I think it's a vulture. I'm pretty sure that's a vulture up there. First I thought, well, maybe it's an eagle sitting up there, because we did see that eagle back in the swamp there. But yeah, that's a vulture up there. I'm pretty sure of that. Well, it's the saddest part of the trip, pulling the boats out of the water. Yeah, after being on the water for several hours, it's nice to get off, but at the same time, sad to see it end. Well, that's the end of this one. If you like this video, please share it with your friends.
And like and subscribe.
Hit that notification bell if you'd like to receive notifications. Thank you. See you on the next one. Give me a minute. You want to film and do this in a tight spot, it's not a good idea. Hang on, still filming. Gotta save myself.